What's up, everybody? Sage the Duel Demon here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links Exodia is Upon Us video. This is the deck we're going to be rocking today. I'm going to do a quick rundown of my thought process behind it. Before I even go into that, though, I want to just say that I would rank this deck around a bronze rating. It's definitely not gold, platinum, king of games. This is a bronze to silver Exodia deck. Okay, so the idea behind this is you have the Dark Magician Girl as a good target for your Magician Circles. You have, and just to be the biggest beater in the deck, you have a Blue Dragon Summoner, two of them actually. This searches Exodia. You have two Legion of the Fiend Jesters, which does a couple different things. One, it searches Exodia, and two, you can actually use your Exodia pieces defensively in the graveyard because Legion can pull the Exodia piece out of the graveyard. We have some Arsenal Summoners to be a beater and also to be the wind type for the Element Magician, who is also we have one of. We have two Rogue Dolls to be a target for, I forget its name and I can't pull it up right now. The trap that when you do battle damage as a normal monster, they have to discard 2 cards. We have 3 Wonder Wands. This gives us a lot of draw power and attack power. 2 Magician Circles, which 1 pulls out more monsters for us, and 2, if the enemy has no Magicians in their deck, they actually have to put out their Exodia pieces in attack mode, which gives us a lot of life point damage and stops them from being able to use Exodia. Pretty nice. We have a Jar of Greed, a Windstorm of a Tekwa, Backup Soldier in case they are targeting the Exodia pieces in, by milling or something along those lines, so you can get them back into your hand. Or alternatively, it lets you use them defensively. And then finally, since we have no back row management, we have the straight flush in there. And so that is the deck, and from there we can go ahead and get right on into the game. Alright, right off the bat, we draw into, 3 Exodia cards. Now this is basically like saying you have a 2-card hand because you can't really use those 3 pieces. So think like you're playing against the Vagabond with 2 cards. That's similar to how this game started for me. That's one of the negative sides of having an Exodia. No matter what cards you put in it, if you draw 3 of them at the beginning, you're only really working with 2 cards. Okay, so we go ahead and start the game. I'm lucky that he doesn't attack my face-down Arsenal Summoner with his little Fiend Bird guy. Otherwise, I would have had basically no defense. He thought it was something scarier than what it was, which ended up being an advantage for us. I go ahead and summon my Rogue Doll and destroy his face-down Time Wizard. I was trying to test the waters to see what kind of deck he had, what I could expect from him. We were lucky enough to draw into the Dark Magician Girl, where we can go ahead and tribute the monster where he didn't attack. Now we have the strongest beater on the field, and so we now have field control because of his lack of aggression, which is nice. So currently where we're at, we have field control with the Magician Girl, the Dark Magician Girl, and have a Rogue Doll in our hand to utilize. He doesn't even summon anything, which is pretty interesting here. So we go ahead and summon both our monsters and attack. Both attacks go through, leaving him with 1,650 life points. Now the reason he had those extra life points is he used an Enchanted Javelin when I attacked his face-down Time Wizard. His turn's going pretty slow here, even at 1.5% speed. He does take his sweet time. We end up getting a backup soldier, which is nice in case, for whatever reason, we need to start putting our Exodia pieces in our hand to the graveyard. He goes ahead and activates his magical hats. And again, takes his sweet time. I am lucky enough, as I am attacking here, to get the right one the first time I attack. Now, something I didn't know about magical hats is even after you kill the monster, the spell tokens stay around to defend their life points. So he is able to live another turn because of the magical hats. Okay, he goes ahead and special summons I don't know his name yet, but man is he a good card. He basically shut down my field control just by getting a free special summon, which is pretty good on his part. So I check my graveyard, make sure, just to test the waters with the Legion to see what I'm working with here. Now what I do here is I feign strength by keeping my Dark Magician Girl in face-up attack position, hoping that he overthinks it. He does not in this case, though, and he goes ahead and attacks the Dark Magician Girl. So we're with 3 Exodia pieces. We need our 2 left. We have a Legion on the field. Oh, there's our 4th one. So this kind of sucked because the Legion was going to pull that card out. So what happens here is kind of... I didn't know this play even existed for this deck, which was pretty nice. What I was planning on doing is throwing down the Exodia piece and then using the backup soldier when he destroyed it, but he ends up doing the zing zang zoo thing and locks down both my back row, and so I think I lose here because, oh no, my Exodia piece is on the field and now it's in the graveyard. I'm lucky enough that he attacks it first, because once the Legion goes down, I figure out right here that I can pull the Exodia piece back into my hand. So that was really lucky on my part, and I learned some more moves about my deck. So right here is pretty crazy. So I pull Legion. I'm like, okay, so I need to put another Exodia piece in the graveyard before this Legion dies. Because if I do that, then the Legion can pull it out. And I'm praying, literally praying at this point for a Wonder Wand. The reason why is if I have an 1800 attack, I can destroy his monster and I'm not going to lose next turn. So I literally have 1 turn to pull this off. If I don't get exactly what I need here, then I lose. So this is super clutch. I pull out the Wonder Wand that I needed. It was literally a miracle, even though I do have 3 in the deck, so it was about 1 in 4 chance. A 1 in 4 chance is still a miracle when it comes down to it. So I go ahead and summon the Legion. Instead of attacking, I actually decide to make the play of just using the effect of Wonder Wand. It's about a 1 in 6 chance that this is going to get me the win. And I end up pulling the exact card I needed, the head of Exodia, and then I can pull that up into my hand, and we end up getting the win with Exodia. So that was a really, really clutch game. Honestly, the heavens aligned in my favor. That doesn't always happen, which is why this is more of a bronze-silver deck. Okay, going into the next game. We're going up against a 35-card deck. We are currently in... I believe this is the bronze area. So we are going up against bronze opponents at this time. So my starting hand is much better than the other one. I have 2 Searchers, 1 Jar of Greed, and an Arsenal Summoner. Now he goes ahead and summons the Mystical Beast Cerberus and puts a Gravity Axe on him. I'm already like, crap, that's really dangerous for us. Because if this guy starts getting bulked up, there's not a lot I can do with this deck. One of the major weaknesses of this deck is that it doesn't have strong beaters. Some of the games I lost is just that they summoned a bigger monster than I could keep up with. And so when I build my next Exodia deck, I'm going to keep that in mind. That is one of the fatal flaws of this deck. Now he goes ahead and summons the... I forget his name. I apologize, I keep forgetting these names. He trades with the Blue Dragon Summoner. I am able to pull up an Exodia piece or a Rogue Doll, depending on what I feel like. I decide to do an Exodia piece. And right now, we're looking pretty... He definitely has the field control here, which is pretty scary. I'm waiting it. He goes ahead and does the attack. Now, what's nice about that is the Cerberus loses the 500 attack. If he did not do that attack and rather kept his field advantage with that card, I think I would have been much worse off later down the game. But he does decide to lower his attack to do some damage to me. So I go ahead and set the Legion. At this point, I'm really trying to figure out how to get over this Cerberus. I really want to get my Dark Magician Girl out. Would be ideal. And right here, I'm basically like, if he has a monster, I lose. So this shows that in both games, both games that I won, it was by a hairline, and then I lost quite a few games because that hairline doesn't always end in my favor. So another reason why this deck is what I would consider bronze. So from there, I'm lucky enough to get one of my 2 magician circles, which means my dark magician girl has potential to come out right now, and lucky for me, he has spellcasters on his side of the field. So he goes ahead and attacks. I decide not to use it right there, mostly because I wasn't going to get destroyed anyways. He attacks again. I don't use it. I like to use Magician's Circle when it's my turn. Okay, so right there we drew the Head of Exodia. Now the hardest card in this deck to work with is the Head of Exodia. I can pull all the other ones out of my deck. The Head of Exodia cannot. So when I get the Head of Exodia in my hand, I actually have a pretty good chance of completing Exodia as far as this deck is concerned. So I managed to gain field control by summoning the Dark Magician Girl. I'm praying he doesn't have his own Dark Magician Girl, because he obviously has enough spellcasters in his deck that it would be a high potential for him to have it. But in this case, he does not. So the attack, he pulls out a again, I'm forgetting the name, guys, I apologize. Frontier Wiseman. And I go for a field control play and attack everything I can in order to gain that field control. He does another long search, but he does pull out an Exodia piece just like I did. So it's kind of an Exodia race at this point, but I do have the field control, which means that the game is now looking in my favor. Had he not attacked earlier, I would not have field control at this point. And even if I used the Wonder Wand on my Dark Magician Girl, the Cerberus would gain the same 500 attack points. So this is another example of what I always talk about: focus on field control first, and then focus on damage second. Had he focused on field control rather than damage, I do not think I would have won this game. So this is a win that relied on my opponent's mistake, which is another reason that this deck is not top tier, because it relied on my opponent to make mistakes, which will not fly when my opponents are not making mistakes. Okay, so we go through the field control play. He takes a really long time with his turn. Looks like... Okay, here we go. So he summons his second monster. He puts on an equipped spell card and attacks. Now this play I do not super agree with, just because he didn't really gain field control by using that equipped card. He gained a little bit by destroying my monster, but definitely didn't dominate the field control. It might have been the best he could do as far as his turn went. Maybe holding on to the equipped spell card a little later would have been nice, but it's obvious that based on the equipped spell card he is using, that it's kind of a newer deck. You know, if a little higher up you're going to see a black pendant instead of that, or a gravity axe instead of that, or even a rear Roku. So there's a lot of things that could have gone wrong right here, but we end up being okay. So right here I go for another field control play, where I just try and remove everything I can from his side and maintain stuff on my side. Not using my Wonder Wand preemptively, I just am holding on to it, focusing on field control for now, and then when the play comes, when the time comes, I'll go ahead and use that Wonder Wand to draw. So from here, kind of just waiting, and then he doesn't really do anything with this turn, which I don't agree with. Even if he has Exodia pieces in his hand, he should put one down. He's going to lose next turn unless he does that. But it looks like he decides not to do that. He basically does nothing with this turn after waiting a long time to do nothing. And then from there we have our final turn. Now what's funny about this final turn is I could win by attacking, but I end up winning with Exodia. So it's kind of funny that this is supposed to be an Exodia deck, but honestly most of the time the game is decided before Exodia even happens, and I just decide to do the Exodia play just because it's fun. But I would like to build a deck that honestly can use Exodia much better than this one, and that's what I'll be focusing on in the next day or so. I'm trying to get a better one, a more top tier platinum King of Games Exodia deck out here, and a lot of people both on my channel and on Reddit have been helping me go through deck ideas and giving me some good info to go base that off of. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it every time you do. I'd love it if you guys left me a like and if you guys subscribed. It helps me out a lot. Appreciate you guys a lot, and I'm out of here. Have yourselves a good one.